Welcome guys. So in our series of PostgreSQL, today we are going to talk about table spaces. What are table spaces? How we use them in our database. Okay. So in PostgreSQL, a table space is a location on disk where the database stores its data files. It allows you to define alternative storage location for database operation. So with the help of table spaces, you can define at which location your data for that particular table space will be stored. Okay, you can create a table space, and after creating it you can assign tables, indexes and other related files to that table space so that these files will be stored at that particular location. You can have one or more disks for this as well. Like if you want to store some part of your data at one disk, some part of your data at another disk, so you can use table spaces. By default, PostgreSQL creates a main table space that store all the database objects in the data directory specified during installation. So that main directory is the base, which has the base location. Let me show that to you. So when you install Postgres, this will be your data directory, and inside data directory, this is your base directory. This is the default location of your table space. Okay. So tablespace allows the user to control the disk layout of PostgreSQL, like how we control the files at one particular location. So that allows you to control the disk layout. With the help of these, we can allocate our data to different devices as well. Like if you have some SanDisk devices, or if you have some other C drive, D drive, or floppy disk, so we can control uh, the data on them as well. Okay, so once the table space is created, you can specify it in create database, create table and create index statements. So but first you need to create the table space. Then while creating these create data and create table and create index statements, you can mention your table space, so that all your files for this database, tables and indexes will be stored at this particular location of the table space. So table spaces are the logical structures. You do not see your table space name anywhere in the file, but it will create a file based on the directory structure of it. So default table spaces, there are two default table spaces, PG default and PG global. So PG default store all the user data, PG global stores all the global data, which is user data, like anything you do that will be stored in here. So PG default tablespace is the default tablespace for template 0 and template 1 database. Okay, so as you know, we have four databases in our. I'll show you. We have four here. By default, we have these four: Postgres template 0, template 1. Uh, by default, we have three table databases in our Postgre installation. So this is, you will be using this all the time. Template 0 is the base of all the, like if your database or if your any template 1 gets corrupted, you can use template 0 to create the database. This is the template for creating the database. Usually we use template 1 for creating the anytime we are creating a database, this template 1 will be used as a template for that database creation. Okay, so all newly created databases use the default table spaces, which is PG default, unless you mention some other table space. Okay, so if you do not mention, that will show PG default. So location of your default table space is data directory, which I already showed you. So before creating a new table space, first you need to create the directory where the data files for table will be stored. Okay, so if you query the database to see the table space for a table, and the table has the default table space for the database mentioned while its creation, so it will not show you in this. Like if we are working on a database and we have default table space of it, maybe any default table space of it. So if while we are trying to fetch the table space inside that database for any table, it will not show you anything because it's the default table space. So default table space will not be shown anywhere inside any database. I'll show you in our lab this thing. I'll show you in our lab. So table spaces provide several benefits. I'm not going to elaborate of them. Just telling you the briefs. Disk space management, backup and restore. They are easy to perform backup and restore. You can store just table spaces. Okay, so perform isolation. So they'll provide isolation from one to another disk. If you have two or more disks for your table spaces, disk space management, this is also very important point. Table space allows you to distribute your database across different storage devices, which I already told you. Okay, so need to move or remove table spaces. Okay, so there are maybe chances when you want to move your contents of the table space from one table space to another table space, but that should be required when you want to get rid of your older table space. You do not want the name or the table space anymore, or you want some move the contents to your new table space for faster media location, which is your another fastest devices. Okay, so in that cases you need to remove the table space. So after moving the contents of the table space, like if you have databases, tables, indexes on that table space, you first need to move the contents of that table space to your newer table space, and then you can drop that entirely empty table space. But without uh, making it empty, you need not to remove drop the table space. So thanks, and we are going to lab to see what are the table spaces, how we create them. Okay, so let's move to the lab. So let me clear the screen first. Okay, so I already showed you how many table spaces, how many databases we have, but this slash l plus, this will show you the table space as well. Okay, so you see it will show you the table space. I have created this table space tbs1 for our for my earlier testing. So this is the default table space, which is with these four databases: postgres, template 0, template 1. These are the default for why. But then I created test database, which also uses the default table space, and default table space location is this space directory, this data directory. Okay, it will be using this. Okay, data directory, and then global. You see. Okay, so let us see how we see all the table spaces. Let me see first with which user I am connected. DB test. I am connected to database DB test as user Mohan. Okay, so let's copy and paste it here. Oh, table space. Sorry. Okay, so you see, I have three table spaces: PG default, PG global, and TBS1. This is my table space. So let's see how we create a new table space. Let me correct it from here. Okay, so this is the syntax for creating a new table space. Create table space name, owner, any username you have in your directory, and the location. So let's try to create a table space. Okay, So let's see how many users we have. First we have test user Mohan, Rohan. So with Mohan I have created these table spaces. You see the owner of this table space should be test, and this database is Mohan. Okay, so for TBS1 also the Mohan. Let me show you that. This is the query you can use to see the TBS1. Okay, this is your table space. It will not show you anything because I'm inside this table space. I'll tell you what's this. Okay, so I'll be using this user, uh, Rohan. Okay, that's also a super user. I can use it. So create table space TBS2, because TBS we have already created. Owner Rohan. Okay, and location. Our location will be the directory path. What's the path? So I'll be using this, not this. This I already inside a table space. I'll be using this. This is the location of another table space. I'll be showing everything to you in detail after some time. Okay, so the location will be inside single quotes and then semicolon. Directory already in use. Okay, so that directory is already in use. That's already showing me. Okay, so I need to use some other directory. I can use this PostgreSQL, and testing should be fine. Okay, okay, so testing should be fine. Okay, so come on, create tablespace TBS2, and then owner Mohan, and then location will be our new location, because that location we have already using with another table space. So table space is created. Okay, so now let's see what we have in this location, right? So you see the table space is created with this directory. This is empty right now. So let's create a database for this table space first. Okay, so for creating a database, that's this is the syntax: create database, database name, owner of the database, and the table space name. Let's see. Create database, test db owner Rohan and table space tbs2. Yes, okay. So database is created, you see, and it will have all the files related to creating a database. These files are coming from the template one. That's the template for creating all the databases, default template. Okay, so what we need to do now, we have created a table space, we have created uh, Let me create a table now. We have created a table space, we have created a database. Let me create a table now. Create table test 18 id int name 10, and then table space tbs2. Okay, table is created. Insert into test 18 values 1 comma test 17 nothing, test name 2, test name. Okay, so this is created. So let's query which database, which table space this is assigned to. Okay, so if I query this, this is the dictionary table for table spaces, which will shall tell you all about the tables. You can describe this table as well. For describing a table, you can use -d and then pg tables. Okay, you see this table has table space, table name, table owner, and all the things. So you can query this table to fetch out your table name, table space name, where table space, oh no, table space is already mentioned, tbs2. Okay, it will it show you anything? Yes, it will show you the for tbs2 we have table owner Mohan, test 18. Okay, table owner Mohan, we have used Mohan. Create table Rohan database tbs2. Let me see info db test. Yes, I have I've been using Mohan user. Okay, so I'm connected to db test only. So database db test, and the default database for db test, default table space for db test is tbs1 tbs2. I made it pg global. For tbs1, the uh, the location for table space is this. For tbs2, the location for table space is this. You can get with this. Okay, hash tb, and then you can use test with db, hash slash db. You can get everything. Okay, you need not to mention db test. Okay, so after this, if we are going to connect to let me show what are the tables we have, databases we have. Okay, so for uh, expanding the value, so that we'll get the defaults. Okay, so you see, for test database we'll have pg default as our table space. For test 10 we have tbs1. For test db we have test2 as default. So let's one by one connect to all of them, and then we'll see what are the values we are getting. So first I'm going to connect to test. This is the way you can connect to. Okay, so inside test, if I run this, TBS1. Will it show you anything? Yes, it will show you because test 16. For test 16 table, I have TBS1. So we are connected here to test database, this database, and the default table space for this is pg default. So if inside this database I create any table and I mention another table space, that this will mention this. But if I say how many tables we have in our this test database, okay, you see there are so many tables. So if I mention any other tables, it will not show any table space. Let me show you, because that's the default. They all these tables are using the default table space. So how we get it? This is the, you can use this to find the location of the tables. Table is was test, what we have queried, test 16. Okay, so test 16, this table will show you the location for tbs1. Okay, table space, this is the tbs1. And if I query the same thing, we have queried the table space earlier, and if I query the with the table name in this test database, so if I query table name is test 16, what I was getting, oh, I need to put that in quotes. Okay, you see test 1, but there are also tables within test 16. You see test 16 is inside the test database. So if I query test 1, test 10, let's see what happens. I'm going to query test 1. It's not showing you anything because they all are using the default table space for this database. So if they are using the default table space, they will not mention anything by if that space is empty. So we need to understand they have the default table space. And if they are mentioning anything, test what I will use, test 10. Okay, it will also not show you anything because here is showing it's on inside the test database. And for we already know for test database the default table space is, for test database the default table space is pg default, so it will not show you anything. So let's connect to test db now. Control C, test db. Okay, so we are connected to test db. Now let's again see what are the uh, tables we have in here. dt, it does not have anything. So let's connect to test db, test 10. Okay, test 10, test 10 c. Let's see, yes, we have test 17. So if we say what is the default table space for this test 10 database, we say it earlier, the default table space for test 10 is test 10 db is tbs1. Okay, so if I query this table test 17, what I will get, table name test 17. Okay, you see it will not show you anything because this table is using the default table space for it. So that's how you will see all the table spaces, all the directory structures. You can query this to find the location of the pg underscore relation underscore file path, and then you can use table name. Table name should be test 17. This will show you the file path for this table space. So by there you can use anything, and you can query any table. And you also got to know that the default table space will not be shown with pg tables. If you query pg tables data directory, so it will not show you the default table space for that. If you are inside a particular database, so the default table space will not be shown here for that database only. If the default table space is let me show you. If I'm inside test 10 db and the default table space is tbs1, and while creation any table inside this test 10 db and I have mentioned tbs2, so that will show you. If you query this pg tables, then that will show you tbs2 here, because it will all not show the default, but it will show you all others. So that's how table spaces are managed, and you will get to know what are the table spaces and how you to use them, how to manage them in our databases. So that's all about the table spaces. If you feel any issue with this, just let me know. So thanks. These are the tables you need to query: pg tables and pg relation file path. These are dictionary tables for it, for querying table space, but inside a database you can use. Okay, so there's also, you can create a database with the tablespace name. You can have drop tablespace command as well, but you need to create tablespace before mentioning it anywhere. First you need to create a tablespace with the with providing the location, and you can also mention the username, the owner of that table space. Okay, so that's all for this video, and I'll be seeing you in my next video. Thank you.